Hello students. This video is going to go over the Paramedic Method. The Paramedic Method is a revision strategy that is going to make your writing easier to read and more clear. In my honest opinion, this is probably one of the most important videos of this course. So make sure that you're paying very good attention because this is one of my favorite things to teach students because it's going to make the biggest difference in your writing. It's going to make a huge change in the way that you think and the way that you write. So the Paramedic Method sounds very serious, as if you're resuscitating your writing. I'm honestly not sure why it's called the Paramedic Method, but it was developed by Richard Lanham, who wrote a book called Revising Prose, and there's also a video. I do own the DVD version. I found a YouTube version. It's a pretty exciting video that looks like it was made a very long time ago. It's not that old, but the video is actually pretty entertaining. So basically, Richard Lanham came up with a revision strategy because the type of writing that students and academics were using was not effective for communication. And he found that about half of what people wrote was just a bunch of lard or filler. He thinks that about 50% of what we write could be cut out completely. So let's hear a little bit more about his explanation, just because it's kind of entertaining to watch. You can watch more of this on your own, or if you have particular interest, maybe we can set up a time where you can view the entire video. I can check it out to you or something like that. So here we go. This is Revising Prose.
In contemporary America, a style we've called the official style. You've also had some practice in a quick emergency revision procedure, the Paramedic Method, or PM. In this lesson, we're going to use TV graphics to show you how the PM works.
TV graphics! Wow!
Then we'll put them into collision. The official style has been around a long time. It is the native language of bureaucracy and always has been.
I would also add that it's the native language of business, all right? What we think of as smart writing or impressive writing is really just a bunch of fluffy nonsense. And in actual business communication, day-to-day communication, we do not want this type of writing. So as you're listening to the video, keep in mind that this is not what we actually want to do. This may be how the world kind of works, but this is not good communication nor good writing.
No self-respecting civil servant in ancient Rome, for example, would ask for a bribe. Of course not. But a little guest present, a sportula or little basket, would certainly oil the bureaucratic machinery. A provincial Greek bureaucrat living in the Egyptian town of Oxyrhynchus several centuries before Christ would write not, "I live in Oxyrhynchus," but "I am a resident of that most splendid of splendid towns, Oxyrhynchus." And the grain tax he extorted from the peasants was called the Happy Shipment, much as our own Atomic Energy Commission at one time rechristened the standard measurement of deadly atomic radiation a sunshine unit. Such oily, nervy euphemism characterizes the official style from the beginning until yesterday's newspaper, which reports multimodal interface as a new name for a bus station with a bicycle rack, or reconstruction of community infrastructure for the repair of a cinder block wall. Bureaucrats are people who put a face on things. And for the official stylist, impersonality comes as naturally as fancy names for plain objects. Never say, "I think he's an idiot," or "I fired him," but rather, appropriate action was initiated on the basis of systematic discussion, indicating that the termination process would be appropriate.
All right, so I think you get the point. This kind of language, while you may see this in the workplace, is not what I want to teach you to do. It's not going to be the kind of language that gets anything done. This doesn't do anything. And if you watch this video a little bit more in depth, you realize that these kinds of sentences are confusing and again are full of fluffiness and don't ever actually get to the point. So instead of beating this concept into you, we're just going to move on with how to fix it. So a lot of students think that this type of language makes them seem intelligent. It does not. It makes you seem like you actually don't know what you're talking about. And when people write like this, it's usually because they don't know what they're talking about. So let's look into how we fix it. The Purdue Owl also backs me up on this. I love the Purdue Owl. It's a great resource. You can see that I link to it quite often. But here is the method. Step 1, circle the prepositions. If you don't know what a preposition is, you can look it up, but most of the common prepositions are of, in, about, for, onto, or into. And a lot of bureaucratic language makes use of these prepositional phrases. There's going to be lots of them. Step 2, draw a box around the is form of the verb. So could be the word is, it could be the word are, all right? You're looking for the form of the verb to be. The reason you want to be aware of the is verb form is because is a lame verb. There's no action to it. It's just kind of a placeholder. It doesn't do anything. So then step 3, you ask yourself, where is the action? Then you want to change that action into the verb of the sentence. Then if there is a subject, you want to make sure that the subject is at the beginning of the sentence and that they are active in the sentence. And then get rid of any unnecessary slow wind-ups and redundancies. So here's an example of a sentence. In this paragraph is a demonstration of the use of good style in the writing of a report. So first, circle the prepositions in, of, in, of. You can see that in such a short sentence there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prepositional phrases in one sentence. Then we've got is as a lame verb right here. So instead of is a demonstration, how do we change that idea into an action? What about the verb demonstrates? Okay? And then the subject of the idea is the paragraph, and we eliminate any redundancies or slow wind-ups. And the sentence becomes, this paragraph demonstrates good style. Okay? Now some of you might think, well, that's too choppy or that's too simple. Simplicity, clarity is the most important thing about business writing. Remember, you're writing to people who are very busy, who aren't going to read long emails or memos or letters, who may have language barriers or cultural barriers. The more clear your writing is, the more likely it is to be effective. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that we want choppy writing, but we do want clear writing. So here is another example, another handout that I found online. And so there we go. Here are our steps. Let's look at another sentence. In response to the issue of equality for educational and occupational mobility, it is my belief that a system of gender equality exists in the school system. You may be thinking, wow, that sounds really fancy and smart. The problem here is that if I'm reading this as a reader, as a user, I have no idea what the author is actually trying to say. What? So, the video that I showed you previously kind of does this in a more fun way with lots of sound effects, but basically Lanham suggests that using all of these prepositional phrases results in a laundry list. And he uses his voice to kind of underscore how that works. So listen to how it sounds. In response to the issue of equality for educational and occupational mobility, it is my belief that a system of gender inequality exists in the school system. Very boring, very repetitive, very robotic. This is not good writing. So, you could change it to I believe. I still think that's kind of a slow wind-up. So you could just say, gender inequality exists in schools. All right? That means that we've got a lard factor of over 65% here. I think you could even shorten it. Gender equality exists in schools. Okay? So you want to keep it very clear. So what we're going to do, we're going to try it. The point I wish to make is that the employees working at this company are in need of a much better manager of their money. What? We need to fix this. So we're going to use the Paramedic Method. First, circle the prepositions. At this company, of. Prepositions. All right. Do we have a form of the verb to be? Yes, we do. I'll make it a different color. The point I wish to make is lame. Lame verb. Ask yourself where is the action and then make the action a more simple verb. The action, the point, the kernel of information in the sentence is need. And who is the subject? The employees. The employees need. All right? Eliminate any slow wind-ups. The point I wish to make. Well, if you're writing it and telling someone, that's probably the point you wish to make. Get rid of it. And any redundancies. So employees working at this company. If you work at a company, by definition, you are an employee. So I don't think you even need that. You could put our employees need a better, and how could we better say manager of their money? All right, so this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words. And you can immediately understand what it is that is trying to be said. 25 words. If I counted it wrong, don't get mad at me. I'm not a math teacher. All right, so you can see that when you're trying to conserve space, when you are trying to make your point as clear as possible, the Paramedic Method is just wonderful. It helps you find where the action actually is. It helps you figure out what you actually want to say. So please keep this in mind the entire semester. On your resume, in your cover letter, in emails, in your reports, in your daily life. Say what you mean. Be clear in your writing and your communication. Along with this, I would like to draw your attention to Chapter 16 and Chapter 19. It talks about style and how to use plain sentences, so that can be helpful to you. The Paramedic Method is simply one revision technique that I think is very easy to do, and it's easy to see a big difference very quickly, but the book is also very helpful. Chapter 19 also has some tips for editing, and I would like to show you common usage problems on page 508. this can be a good list for you. Sometimes we make little mistakes, and what's interesting is most often Word will not find these mistakes for you. So it's good to know what these usage errors are in the English language so that you can be sure that you check and double check to make sure that you're not doing them. Especially in the employment unit, you want to make sure that everything is as grammatically correct as it can possibly be, right? You want to triple check. You want to make sure that you're using the right your and your, that you're using the right accept and except in your cover letter. All right? You want to make sure that all of these things are avoided. Not that you'll lose a job because of a misspelling. I have mixed feelings about that. Research shows that if you are not a native English speaker, people are more willing to give you the benefit of the doubt if you use a word incorrectly or you misspell something. Now, if they presume that you are a native speaker of English and then you have some major grammar errors, that could in fact be a deciding factor of whether or not they ask you for an interview. So especially in your application documents, you want everything to be as perfect as possible. And then of course, as you go into final documents of final drafts of your report or a proposal, you want those to be as perfect as can be. Now, if you send an email to a coworker and there's typos or you want to keep those to a minimum because you don't want to have a negative effect on your credibility, on your ethos. But that's going to be okay usually. Um, I'm sorry, I'm afraid I lost audio. Hopefully it's still working. Usually a spelling error or a mistake on an email here and there within the company is not going to be a problem. But when you're doing final drafts, you want to make sure that everything is as perfect as you can get it. All right? So those are some examples of things in the book that can help you, and I hope that you found the discovery of the paramedic method to be very helpful in your future. I think that it really does make your writing sound more sophisticated in the easiest way.